Synchronistic Contemplations. Now this is kind of a heavy one. This is a supplement, and it's based upon the idea that of the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious, the idea is that there's an unconscious mind that's connected, that everybody is connected to. All minds are joined at a deep unconscious level, at a collective unconscious level. And I call it kind of like a cosmic Craigslist. You know how with Craigslist, let's say you want to find an apartment, so you put in Craigslist that you're looking for an apartment, and and somebody has got an apartment to rent, and so you link up. You have a need, and they have a need also, and they have a need. You have a need to get an apartment. They have a need to give up an apartment, so to speak. And so what happens with the cosmic Craigslist is sort of similar. Is that, let's say you want an apartment, and so when you go to sleep at night, you're just kind of thinking, oh, I want an apartment. You may not be consciously thinking this, but yeah, I want an apartment. That'd be great to have an apartment. And then there's some other person sleeping at night, and their unconscious is going, I really need to sublet this apartment, and I really need to rent this apartment out to somebody. Okay. And so what the collective unconscious does is it's almost like a huge Craigslist, a huge biocomputer, where it's figuring out what everybody needs. And so if, so you need an apartment, you've got an apartment, I'll figure out a way, the collective unconscious is going, I'll figure out a way to intersect these two people in time and space so they come together and they get their needs met. So then what happens is you go to work, and you happen to mention to somebody at work that you're looking for an apartment, and they go, wow, you won't believe this. I was just talking to my brother-in-law, and he was at the grocery store, and he saw a note on, he was looking for a ride to Denver, and he saw a little thing that said apartment for rent, and it's right near work. And then suddenly everyone gets linked up and needs are met. That's in general a very simplistic explanation of how the universe works. Now if that's true, that this is how the universe works, that what you want on some level is given to you, and that the universe will cooperate that's the law of attraction, that it'll attract to you, then think about it. If this is true, you got to be really careful about what is going on in your unconscious mind. Because if you believe at an unconscious level that you are unworthy, right, undeserving, guilty, bad, not good enough, deserving of failure and punishment, not success and love, if you have really low self-esteem at a deeply embedded level, you don't feel you're good enough, well, what might the collective unconscious do? It might say to itself, well, this person needs to be punished. This person, you consciously don't want to be victimized. Of course not. But on an unconscious level, you do. On an unconscious level, you believe you deserve punishment. You are, in a sense, you're asking to be punished. That's what you're putting out to the cosmic Craigslist. And so the collective unconscious is going to find somebody who has some sick need to victimize someone. And so 2 and 2 is going to come together, and it increases your odds of being victimized. Now, it doesn't mean that you caused it. It doesn't mean it's your fault. The other person who perpetrated it still owns it. It's their fault. But you may have contributed to putting yourself in a situation where you are victimized. A simple example is, if let's say you decide to go to, someone decides to go to a club at night, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's dark, and there's very few people on the street, and you're walking past an alley, and it's a dark alley, and you get a little nervous, but you don't pay attention to the nervousness or the anxiety. Maybe you hold your keys, but you still walk past the alley, and you get hit over the head, and you get robbed. Now, whereas you could have walked across the alley to the other side of the street, avoided the alley, there was a choice you could have made. Now, in general, if you're just aware of all the possibilities in life where you might be in danger, and you're aware that you may have a subconscious program to victimize yourself, then you pay attention. And you go the extra mile to keep yourself out of danger. So what you want to do, basically, this idea of synchronistic contemplations is, if the universe is always working, it's going to show you signs. It's going to give you signs and signals and clues as to which paths are maybe good and which paths may be bad or dangerous. That's why, again, if you see a red flag, somebody who's not all that cool, and that person invites you to a party, and you want to be at a party because you've been lonely, pay attention to the idea of the synchronistic contemplations. This could be a red flag. This could be the cosmic Craigslist drawing you to a toxic place that might not be in your best interest. And so maybe you shouldn't take that invitation. But other more positive ways is, let's say, of synchronistic contemplation. Synchronicity being things that happen that look like a coincidence that happen at the same time, and you got to wonder, well, is there some deeper meaning? So let's say you are in the grocery store and you bump into somebody you haven't seen in 30 years, and then you talk to them for 5 or 6 minutes. The contemplation you would do at night, you would think about that person, and the thought would be, there's probably a reason why that person showed up, coincidentally, after 30 years. They must represent something. They must symbolize something. Now maybe they invited you to a birthday party. And maybe the thought would be, well, normally I wouldn't go to that, but meeting this person, reconnecting, it feels good. Maybe something positive will happen from that. Always be vigilant and pay attention. But my point is, don't assume that everything happens just happenstance and by accident and coincidentally. But assume that everybody perhaps is a symbol of some message that you have to learn that can either divert you away from danger or towards greater good. And if you just generally have this kind of philosophy of paying attention to all the seemingly meaningless things and people you bump into, you may start to see that there are certain patterns and certain signposts and certain ways that you can avoid potholes and direct yourself towards the most ideal outcomes and circumstances.